Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first lesson in JavaScript. So today we are going to be looking at what JavaScript can do as a programming language. So JavaScript can change HTML content. I know you might be wondering what is this that I put under this text on this slide. Do not worry yourself about it. As we are going to see what this can do in the browser. We're going to see how JavaScript can change HTML content, how you can use it to manipulate HTML content and then get desirable results from such action. So let's dive in. I'm going to pull up my editor so that you can take a look at this in our code. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. If you don't have the editor, you can just search for it on Google and then download it. Don't mind the way my own editor is looking or how it is structured. Just get the editor so that you can follow along in this particular tutorial. So I have a folder that I created, JavaScript. You can put this anywhere on your computer. Currently, I'm putting my on my computer on my desktop folder. So, and inside it, I have subfolder that I've created. This is lesson one and this is lesson two. So inside lesson one, I created a file and I named it index.html. So basically, it's an empty file. Right now, there's nothing inside it. So what you are seeing on my screen, I'm not deleting it. It's just an extension by Visual Studio Code called Emit that is helping me that is giving me suggestion of the likely thing I'm going to do in the file since it's an HTML file. So it's suggesting an HTML structure for me. So let me go ahead and then get the structure that I need in this my file. So I'm going to start by using one of the image abbreviation. I press shift. I'm going to do it again, shift key and exclamation mark. So once I click on this single exclamation mark, it's going to give me a skeleton of an HTML document. So if I want to change the title, I can change it and put something that is related to what we are doing. What can JavaScript do? So that is the title. So from where you're coming from, that you've learned about HTML and CSS, you already know what this structure is and what it can do and what it looks like. So I'll not be wasting time in explaining it again. So I'll just move into the body section of this HTML skeleton code and then put an H2. I can use any of the header, but I'll be going with H2 here. So, and I'm going to simply put what can JavaScript do. So, before I continue, you know, during your lessons in HTML, you've learned what you can do with H1 to H6 in HTML. It's just basically a way to define your header tags in your HTML code. So from H1 to H6, what differentiates them is their look, their appearance, the way they varies from H1 to H6. So I basically just chose H2, not for any specific reason, just because I want to use it. You can use H1, you can use H3 if you don't want to use H2 like I am doing. And also, as I continue, I want to quickly bring to your remember. I want to quickly bring it to your remembrance that in CSS you did something like this. If you can either add an ID or a class to your code, if you could remember. So an ID is a unique identity that allows you to target a specific element at a time, while you can use class in multiple places to target multiple elements in your code. So in this particular lesson, I'm going to be using an ID since I'm having just an H2, and I'm going to give it an ID of demo. Now, with this ID of demo, if we look into our browser, let's see what we will get. So currently I have another extension called Live Server. So You can download it if you want it. So I already have it installed on my own computer. And so I'm just going to right click and click open with live server to see this in our browser. So this is allowing me access on my public network, private network. And so I'm going to grant it so that you can see what this looks like in our browser. So a second, I'm just going to use tab to access this. Okay, yeah, so this is it. Currently, if you look at it, let me refresh. You can see what can JavaScript do, which is basically the only tag I have in my editor, the H2 that I just talked about. So I'll go back to it, and then after this, I want to add a button. Simply add a button to demonstrate what JavaScript does. So I'm just going to add a type to the button to specify that, okay, well, this is a button. Don't mind all this suggestion. It's because of the extension that I have in my code editor button. And then I'm going to call an onClick method. An onClick method is a property of JavaScript that allows you to click on something, just as the name suggests, onClick. So you can click on something and see the output. So onClick and do something like this: document dot get element by ID. So before I continue, I quickly want to explain this aspect of document, this word document. When you fill your code or your web page in a browser, you always get some, and you open your developer tool, always get something like this, a tree. It always look like a tree structure. Let me show you what I mean. Now, if you look at this, if you click on this head, now you see there's style. If you click on style, you see. Now coming down, if you click on other things that you have on the page, it's already showing like a tree. So what you are seeing inside this console is what is called DOM, Document Object Model. So it's a representation of the structure of your web page. So let me close this and go back to my editor. So by saying that document.getElement by ID, I'm simply telling JavaScript through this onClick method that the document refers to the web page. It refers to that browser window. That JavaScript should select that window and pick an element that has an ID of what I'm about to call. And the element that has the ID is the H2 that I have on this page. So I'm just going to select that ID. And what is that ID? The ID name is demo. So I will continue and do something. I will continue and then put a full stop, use the full stop to join it to what I want that content to change to. So I'm going to use a property called inner.html, which I'm going to use to store the value that I would like to see in the browser. So I'll give it that value, hello JavaScript. Now, then I'm going to close this button, opening, then click me. Let me say the name of the button should be click me. And then I can close my button, as you can see. So my button is closed. So let me go back to the browser and see the output. Now look at it. What can JavaScript do? So now if I click the button, right now, let's see if it changes or do anything. So by clicking on this button, you see that it actually changed that text from what can JavaScript do to hello JavaScript. I will refresh the web page so I can show you again. Click me. You see hello JavaScript. So this is one way through which you can use JavaScript to change HTML content, to interact with HTML content, and use this onClick method to be able to select, to be able to save the content that you want to show in your browser. So in our next lesson, we'll dive deeper into this and see other things that we can do with JavaScript in the DOM and with our HTML structure. Thank you. I will see you guys in the next class. Thanks for watching.